Welcome to the Strongman Say podcast. Welcome back with your host, Strength Zen, Mr. Leigh Shaw, and myself. A quick little plug because he won't fucking do it. I'm wearing the Chaos Classic t-shirt. If you jump on Chaos Promotions and order a Shaw shirt, which I'm wearing today, some of those proceeds go towards Mr. Leigh Shaw and the prize pool for the Classic, which is sick. And they're cool t-shirts, nice fit.
They actually do look really nice.
Yeah, it's actually
I
a really
want one
good
now.
t-shirt. Yeah, well, you'll get one.
Yeah. Good thing is you can pretend it's Brian Shaw if you really want.
Yeah,
Even if you don't want to support
yeah,
me.
if you don't want to support Leigh, just pretend you're supporting Brian Shaw and get a sick t-shirt.
Yep.
But yeah, you can jump on the Chaos Promotion site and grab one of these. He won't promote himself, so I'll do it for him.
I've got nothing to say. Fair. Very true.
This week, we saw the end of Meat Stock Competitions 2023.
Yep. The end of the busy year.
The end of the big comps for the year, right?
Yep.
The main big comps for the year, which is probably nice for Australia's Strongest.
Yeah.
Probably a breath of relief.
What is it? The F250?
Yeah, gets a break.
Gets a break for 6 months.
I don't know how he does it, man.
Yeah.
Like hauling all that equipment across the country.
I think everyone drove.
Yeah,
I think
like the whole crew.
Tiff Alley drove down.
It's an impressive effort by the AS crew. I definitely will give them some props because that's commitment to the cause by the whole team.
Yep.
The way they get around, take all the equipment and stuff to the comps because that's a huge workload.
I would fly and just ask Sean what he has in his gym.
Yeah, and then
that's the comp.
Let's do those events.
Yeah.
The problem is those Lemmy Stones are still in his gym, so
Yeah, someone needs to burn those.
do they burn?
Can try.
Yeah, we can weld those handles off. But good weekend. Really cool venue. And I'll say one thing. The crowd at Sydney was phenomenal.
Yep.
Like, really energetic crowd. Man, I loved it because Sean repped a few people and the whole crowd was just like, boo. Like, deafening boos. Poor Sean sitting there repping and he's like, I'm just doing my job.
The whole crowd, no idea what a good rep is.
Yeah.
But just like give it to them. They tried.
Yeah. It was so good. Like, I think someone got a stone to shoulder and it rolled off the back and he repped and the whole crowd just like erupted. But the crowd was awesome. And like Macaulay, who was just like on fire in the heavyweights, who took out the heavyweights on day one for the Strongman Classic.
Yep.
Just played into it so well. And he had
Did
the
that
crowd,
on the Sunday too.
Yeah, and he
Plays
just had
it
the
up.
crowd just
Yeah.
pumping. It was really, really cool to see.
You didn't see the Sunday, but like between the events, because obviously there wasn't a lot going on, Buddha called people down to try like smelling salts.
Oh, cool, fun.
They had like the tandem log and had like Tanita and Donna and stuff doing reps and tried to get people from the crowd. And they did like a sandbag behind the head, like for distance throw.
Oh, cool.
Gave him a free t-shirt and stuff.
Yeah,
And
that's fun.
just when he's interviewing the crowd,
Yeah.
they're all very interesting people.
Oh, yeah.
No one was
Meat
scared of a
stock.
microphone.
Not after a few beers and a few meat trays.
Brought the salts up and he's like, hey, how you going and stuff? What's your name? And the guy's just like, I'm so hungover. All he said.
Hi, I'm hungover. What's your name?
Yeah. Gave him salts. He's off the corner like
he's like,
spitting.
this will fix ya.
Yeah. So that was entertaining.
Yeah, that's
It was
great.
fun watching a random in the crowd
Yeah.
throw a sandbag further than Thomas Wren. He brought up Thomas Wren and everybody else.
Yeah.
And Thomas's first throw went high.
Yeah.
Didn't go very far.
Yeah.
And then he wanted a second go.
Of course he did.
And he obviously threw it further.
Yeah.
But it didn't count.
Yeah.
So he lost to a random, and I don't know, that was just nice.
Yeah, it was good to watch.
Be nice if any strongman went up and did that and just, I think Jordan did it at Toowoomba. He did a duck walk race against a random
Yeah.
at
beat him.
middleweights last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the random beat him.
Yeah.
It's just entertaining.
It was really funny when
Yeah.
Dan, Sean's business partner, he I think it was the 105s coffin or something like that, and they dropped it and he went to like try to pick it up. And it was like, no fucking chance. And the whole crowd just gave it to him.
Yeah.
Like trolley of shame.
That's what you want though.
Yeah, it was really, really like
You've got strong helpers and you want them to struggle
yeah.
to reset.
And it was a good exchange between the crowd and the competition, but it was always like, it's a great venue, really well-run comp. So Yeah, it was a good weekend and some really good performances across the board on both days by the sounds of things.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't get to see Holzfäller because, well, I spent 2 days away from my family, so I spent Sunday with them. But like Katie's log, Australian record, which is huge. And the boys battling it out, obviously a little bit harder. Yeah.
Tight race, right to the end on Fingals.
Yeah, 100%, which is cool. And then Strongman Classic was great. Man, some really, like, some good depth in the weight classes.
Yep.
But I don't know whether I'm just biased because, like, obviously I love the 105s. Like, it's just, like, I like watching 105s. I consider myself a 105. Like, the depth in the competition was excellent.
There was a few people in there that I have no idea who they are.
And crushed.
Yeah.
There was a few people that I didn't really know, like, name-wise on the thing. And, like, watching them, like, there were some really competitive dudes in there.
Yeah.
Like, Jack Davey, who's a great competitor and, like, long-time competitor and very strong, like, came second.
Yeah.
Where, like, you know, if we've been in the sport for a while, you know certain names that have been around a little bit longer or have come up in, you know, other bigger comps. And you kind of go, oh, yeah, cool. Like, that's probably
who's going
to take it, you know? And then to see some of these guys, like, really push, like, some of the top guys or older guys in the sport.
They were interesting events for that.
Yeah.
Somebody could come in with a couple of good events.
Yeah.
Not your standard, just big, strong person.
Yeah.
Like, whoever won had to work.
Yes. Yeah.
You still had to carry a coffin or those stupid stones as far as you could. How did you go on stones? On the Lemmy stones, by the way. We do a recap of your competition. How do you think you went?
Yeah.
I mean, you got second. You qualified for ASM.
The outcome was good. The performance was not.
Don't you love those comps?
Yeah, you know, you don't deserve to have any expectations when you haven't touched the events once.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you haven't trained. I still did my full volume week, as you'll see.
Yep.
Before going up there, I made sure I got all my sessions in and stuff like that. I still expect myself to be able to jump into any comp and do relatively well. Do you know what I
you've
mean?
done enough coffin carries. You've done enough event stuff.
Yeah. My body didn't really play ball.
Yep.
Which was really annoying.
Yeah.
Obviously tore my hands fucking well open on the Lemmy Stones, which is annoying. Yep. I also went after Mac and watched him sprint those stones. So I probably got ahead of myself and picked them up, not having touched them before I went to take off and just twisted right up.
I'm sure if we go back a couple of podcasts, there'll be you saying, just stay in your lane.
I
run your
literally
own
was
race.
thinking this. I went to take off and I was thinking about middleweight series, telling all my athletes, like, when you hear that whistle, do your thing, run your race. And I grabbed those stones and went, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
And I was like, I took 3 steps and was like, I can't go. And I'm like sideways. Yeah, I just watched it before. Apart from that, like, reasonable. My bicep, I don't know, coffin carry. I picked up a heavy coffin, cold, and my arm didn't like it, and that was pretty
Makes
shit.
sense.
Yes. I don't know.
Log went all right.
Log was reasonable considering I haven't done log for 3 months.
Haven't touched.
No, like, obviously
over
Viking pressing once a dumbbell.
20?
No, yeah.
Like, not even close
I mean,
to that.
really,
so.
it only for like the last week.
Yeah.
Or so, you know. Before that, it was all Viking dumbbells. So
Yeah.
that usually, for a baseline for me, that's actually quite good because usually my log is dog shit after a bit of a time off because it takes me a bit to get my groove back again. So that was reasonable. And then stone to shoulder, which, like, I was just unstable. I don't know.
A lot of people looked unstable on those.
Body didn't really play ball.
Yep.
Wasn't my day. It happens. And like, I was talking to you before the podcast. I think it's like, I wanted to want it. Like, headphones in, bringing intensity, trying to find my sweet spot coming into the events. I did a reasonable job. But I just kind of, like, I think when you drain your battery after middleweight series, like, I was really, really, like, on fire for that, and, like, headspace was, like, bang on. And I really wanted to want it.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't find that, like, flow state sweet spot where I'm like, yep, okay, cool. Like, I'm jamming. This is it. So anyway, qualified for Australia's Strongest Man next year. So that was the goal.
Get heavy for that.
Heavier.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to get heavy anyway.
Yeah.
To just do 105.
Yeah, I'll be putting on weight to look at striking for Worlds later on this year. And
and do a bigger cut.
Steady
heavier.
Yeah, pretty much. So I think I'll be heavier in general and have static strength up a fair bit. I don't think I'll push. Everyone always, this is and this is for everybody. Do you know what I mean? When you're looking at like your weight classes, and we've talked about this in terms of choosing your weight classes, or you put up a really good post for the slides talking about weight classes and making cuts, and what does that weight look on you lifestyle wise?
Yep.
And like lifestyle wise, like 120 just doesn't really suit my life. Do you know what I mean?
Don't go on many hikes anymore.
Yeah, well, now I have a kid. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not
just
surfing. I'm not hiking as much. So maybe, like, absolutely, this is fair. Or, like, for a short period of time. But, yeah, it doesn't really suit my lifestyle. Like, I don't really feel like it's where I like to be.
I don't think anybody does, though.
Yeah, but, like...
Very few.
I'm not 6'3" either. You know, like, I'm not a heavyweight.
If you were 6'3", then we'd be aiming for, like, 160.
Yeah, and I would.
It's that what's the word where one goes up and one goes down?
Yeah, of course.
It's that thing where you feel you're strongest in the gym when you feel pretty useless outside of the gym.
Yeah,
like climbing upstairs is hard. Life is hard. Just
feel great when you're lifting something.
Walk in the gym and feel like you could walk through a wall.
Yeah, it's a good feeling.
And then the opposite, you feel amazing in life.
Yeah,
and you feel weak as hell in the gym.
Yeah, well, I was like, not pissed off, but I was like, oh, for my wedding, I'd love to be like 100, 103, you know, like look good in a suit and clothes and like...
Worst time of year.
And then I've got like Worlds in October, if all things go well, and Worlds in December, and a wedding right in the middle. So I'll be like full bloat, like three neck rolls, two chins, trying to do up a button. I'm going to be looking back on my wedding photos being like, Jesus, bro.
Do they distort that? Why am I like this wide?
Do you have a purple filter on that photo? Yeah. What's your blood pressure at?
Yeah, it's right in the middle, isn't it?
It's right in the middle.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, well. We've got some cool things coming up. I mean, with the end of meat stock, this is a really cool time for everybody else, right?
Yep. Everybody that's been doing those comps, state level comps, middleweights, ASM, you're kind of done.
Yep.
Besides your qualifiers and things like that pop up here and there, but it should be a time to have a break. But then there's a heap of other comps, like more local comps.
Yeah.
Heaps of entry level comps, heaps of like novice divisions as well.
Yeah.
We got Battle in the Bay this weekend.
Lots of independent promoter comps, and also like a lot of those like not qualifying comps, but comps run by some of the federations and stuff like that, leading into like their nationals, whether it's ASA or AS. A lot of those comps popping up now, which is cool, and like they're fun to get into. Even if you're like a mid to high level competitor, you can start your off season stuff or start your general training stuff or restorative phases. And if you want to go have a play, you could probably just go have a play and not do the events.
Yeah, I've got a couple of people that want to do comps, and I'm like, we just won't prep for it.
Yeah.
It's just a fun day.
And you have to kind of be okay with that, right?
And you probably go up a weight class.
Yeah, and you're not going to cut for it.
Yeah. If you're someone that cuts really hard to like 90.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't have to wait till next year to do your next 90s comp. Just jump in a 105 comp that is achievable.
Yeah, and those comps will be achievable because they're lighter.
Yeah.
But a great time for everyone else in the sports, like get involved, hit competitions, have some fun, train hard and stuff like that. And it's kind of like their time to kind of compete and also get better and hone your skills. So that's going to be fun to watch too.
It should be the season where more people come into the sport.
It should be.
It should be where it grows.
Yeah, and that's where you level up to be able to start doing the qualifiers too, and then start doing those finals. This is the time to like get your comp experience up, to jump in competitions, to get involved in the community, to network, to meet other people, but also to like have targets along the way where if you're hitting these numbers and hitting these comps, it's kind of building you up to being able to do the finals weights, and then being able to jump into the finals and start competing in those or start showing up to those, and you know, rubbing shoulders with the people that you want to be competing against too.
Yeah, it also helps if the people that are better in the sport actually help out at those comps.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you don't have to volunteer all of your time, but if you've never helped out at a comp, you should probably at least do it once.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
If you haven't done it once and you complain about anything that's ever happened in a comp ever, I will immediately dismiss it.
I would encourage anyone who complains about anything in any comp to either volunteer or run a comp. Because
just volunteer.
Yeah.
Otherwise you have no right to go,
agree.
this is crap, they should do this. I'm like, what have you helped out?
Yeah.
Oh, nothing. I'm not doing that. I'm like, well, then just shut up.
And I wouldn't call myself an independent promoter, but like obviously we run gym comps and stuff like that.
Independently.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
So yeah, kind of.
Yeah. You don't realize how much actually goes into running a comp.
Yeah.
You don't know like how many moving pieces, how much liaising goes on between competitor and athlete, competitor and like facilitators and stuff like that. There's a lot that goes on.
Not even that. Just go and load for the events for the day, and then you won't complain when somebody accidentally loads wrong.
Yeah.
Or they're doing it a bit slow. Or something happens.
Yep.
You'll realize that that's harder than competing.
Yeah. Way harder.
Yeah.
I think spectating's harder.
Yeah, spectating.
Like I feel more drained spectating at comps.
Yeah.
Or like coaching at comps afterwards, hanging out all day, watching people, helping people, like being there all day.
Yep.
Then competing and being like in the zone all day kind of thing, like doing a thing. Like that's kind of the fun part. Do you know what I mean? Like spectating. Yep. I know it's a spectator sport, but when there's 8 weight classes and it's an 8-hour day, it's not that good of a spectator sport.
You have to watch 50 people do one event.
Yeah. It's a long day. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I can't watch powerlifting.
No.
And the same. I don't think I could watch a strongman comp if I didn't know people in it.
Well,
if it was just a whole bunch of people that I had no idea about, like trying to watch a random American comp.
Yeah.
I can't watch more than one event.
Well, this is exactly the thing. We were talking at Meatstock. Some of the guys went and watched the PBR, so the pro bull riding.
Yep.
And Alex was kind of like, yeah, we stayed. It was good. Like, but you know, once you see someone ride like 1 or 2 bulls, you've seen them all ride a bull kind of thing. But it was still interesting. And I was like, well, you see one person run a yoke. You see the export. It's just your investment in the sport. You know the characters. You know the players. You know the rules. It's interesting because you know the intricacies of the sport. But as a spectator, especially like powerlifting, where it's like you see one squat go up and down.
Yep.
You've seen the next 50 squats go up and down, or the next 3 attempts. You know, it is interesting when you know the people and you're there to support someone.
Yeah, it either needs to be whittled down to less people.
Yeah.
So even if you don't know them, you get to know them better, and they don't get lost in a crowd.
Yeah.
Or you need to know more about it before.
Which
the
is
comp
exactly
happens.
why we have like an ASM standalone and stuff like that. Because it's more spectator friendly.
So the more people promote, post, show that they're doing comps, people follow along with them. Yeah. Like everybody knew that Katie was trying to hit the log record.
Yeah.
Because she posted about it.
Yeah.
If she just sat in here for months
momentum
and said nothing and came out and did it, people would be like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Don't really know what it means.
But you're invested in the outcome because you're following along.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Yoke Challenge is coming up, which is a great initiative.
Yep.
That's May 28th, I believe, or is down here for mental health.
Down here and in many places.
Yeah,
Queensland.
heaps of places. So check out your local gym, strongman gym, see who's running it, get involved with that, either help out or jump under a yoke if you feel so inclined. We are running a seminar down here. If you'd like to get in touch with Kim, that's also happening. So lots of exciting stuff in Strongman Oz.
Yeah.
Lots of comps, lots of good stepstone comps, and then obviously leading into like our qualifiers, which I'm super keen to see. Well, obviously we've had our first qualifier over the weekend.
Yeah.
I think because it's the first qualifier off the back of a whole bunch of other comps, we probably saw, like, for example, the heavyweights. I think I scraped through, but if I was at another qualifier, if there was another 4 guys in there, I would not have.
Yeah, as they keep getting
further away from ASM, they'll have thicker competitor pools.
Yeah.
Then it'll be more competitive.
As it starts to get to the end of the year, everybody starts going, shit, I didn't make it.
Because like 105s, they weren't, I don't think there was any, there was a couple guys from like middleweight series because it's such a quick turnaround, like to be able to do that. And I jumped in, but it's like I didn't train. And this is probably the same thing as what we're talking about for you guys, which is if you're in your off season or you're coming off, go up a weight class. You don't necessarily have to train for the competition.
Yep.
You can just jump in the competition. If you don't do very well, like me, you can't really be too dirty on yourself.
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
But like
I still do that. I did that with ASI.
Yeah.
I didn't train for ASI at all.
You're like, did dog shit.
Should have trained for
I
that.
don't deserve to be
but
angry about that. Yeah. But like, and have fun and like enjoy that, and don't be too. It's strongman. Strongman is the sport of being able to be prepared for most things most of the time and being relatively strong, fast, muscular endurance, all that sort of stuff, all the modalities in strongman most of the time. So you can kind of jump into those comps most of the time if the loads are accessible to you, right?
most comps should be accessible to you.
Yeah.
Like, really.
Yes, at some level.
Yeah. Most of the comps that you're doing, you should be able to do most of the weights anyway.
Yeah.
Which we spoke about before anyway, not overreaching.
Yeah, choosing those comps.
Yeah.
So the big thing that we kind of wanted to talk about today is, or the first thing is the mental side of strongman. This was something that sort of came up or was asked or requested to me during the week. And we've sort of touched on a lot of this independently anyway, I think. Like, and it's pretty transparent, like, where we feel like the mental aspects of strongman or sport in general lie. But we're kind of breaking it down into like training, competition, and post-competition, right? So in training, what are the kind of key things that you look at in terms of like your mental approach, like even your day approach and stuff like that? Like when you've got big competitions up and you're training for competitions, what does that look like, or what strategies are you putting in place? And are you tangibly or like consciously thinking about those strategies, or are they just sort of like built and kind of just happening passively in the background because it's just ingrained in what you do?
I think a good chunk of it is just ingrained.
Yeah.
Like I still eat most of my meals.
Yeah.
I still try to sleep what I need to sleep. I still come in and train if I don't want to.
Yeah.
To some extent.
Yeah.
But leading into a comp prep, like my whole day ends up starting to revolve around training. I'm like, oh, I've got to eat here, then train. I've got to make sure I eat dinner. Whereas like at the moment, I might miss a meal.
Yeah.
And it gets to dinner and I'm like, oh, I didn't buy any food.
Yeah.
What can I order, or what am I going to eat, or am I just not going to eat?
A bit more flexible.
Yeah. Possibly shouldn't be, but I feel like mentally I will burn out if I try to keep everything super, super rigid.
Yeah. I think so too.
I've done that in the past.
Yeah. And that's a mental strategy, right?
And
you can't be full tilt 100% of the time forever.
Same with training.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the same with food for me.
Yeah.
Like if I get up and I don't want to eat and I have breakfast at 12, it's not going to kill me. If I'm in comp prep and it's like 6-5, 4 weeks out, I'm like, no, I've got to lift something really heavy. I've got to make sure I'm on top of this.
If we back that up, because I think what we're talking about is something we both take for granted, right? Not that we're able to, but like no matter what we were doing, we would still make it the case.
Yeah.
But I think we take for granted the fact that it is ingrained in us that our whole day, food, preparation, timing of meals, and this might be something that people don't realize, is revolved around that session.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even think about this.
A lot of people probably can't either, depending on their work, or if they work night shift, or it's
I would argue harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had jobs that did not allow for it, and I allowed for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I made sure, to the best of my ability, depended on what my work day was, what my extracurricular activities or obligations were, that I was still training at a time. If that was 5, like I had a period of time where like I lost my license because I'm an idiot when I was very young.
We all do that. We've all been there.
But I could only go to the gym at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
I was in the gym at 5 a.m. Because I could get a lift out there. Now, I woke up at 3:30 to eat breakfast.
Yeah.
To eat a meal. Like that would be like, okay, cool. Like I've got to go at 5 a.m. I can't. I'm like, no, I still structured my food around the fact that like I had to train at 5, so I would still wake up. I'd set an alarm. I'd go back to bed.
Yeah.
But I'd get up, I'd have breakfast, and I'd go back to bed.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, it is harder, and for some people it is harder. But one of the big, I think like probably one of the most understated things is like from a mental perspective is like gearing your whole day towards that session and setting up for success from the get-go, from wake up to session time. You're ticking the boxes all the way to the session to give yourself the best chance of a good session or training session to capitalize on that hour or 2 hours.
You're either doing that or you're getting up and training first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
So that you can get it done.
Yep.
And then you've got everything else. So
and
like Reese prepping for Holzfäller.
Yeah.
Like 2 sessions of his week was at like 4:30 in the morning. And then it got to the end of prep and he's like, I can't break the ground with the frame. And I'm like, well, it's 4 a.m. So probably in these last couple of weeks, if we can do it in the afternoon, we will do it in the afternoon. But it was just a case of like, this is the only time I have available to me.
Yeah. And
doing the best that you can with that time.
Yeah, 100%.
Rather than just not training.
Of course. And then like for a lot of people, it's if I train in the morning, it's done. If I train in the afternoon, depending on like where your values or priorities lie.
Most with
I'll
families
try to get
and
that
everything
tomorrow.
like that.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
I won't be able. Like, oh shit, I ran out of time for that today.
Yep.
I won't do that today.
Yep.
I'll do that tomorrow. Oh shit, I undercooked that session, or I didn't get all my sessions in because I didn't prioritize my week specifically, right?
Yeah, well, we have a whole morning crew here that if they trained at 12 o'clock, like midday,
Yeah.
it'd be too late.
Yeah.
And they'd have no motivation because it's
Yeah.
ingrained in them now that
Yeah.
like they train at 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm. 5 a.m., 6 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
So, like, just to pull that up, because I feel like we talk about it in a blasé way.
Mm.
But, like, you and I, and a lot of competitors who have been doing it for a long time will understand this, like, working your food in all day to make sure that you're structuring your meal so that you've got enough food and you've fueled enough for that session, that you're timing your last meal in relation to your session to make sure that you're not feeling too full but not, like, underfed kind of thing.
Yeah.
Timing pre-workout or supplementations or whatever else that's going on in your day, making sure like that if I'm hitting a heavy session, I want to do that in the PM a little bit later, or like when I was deadlifting, I wanted to do it in peak time. So like I'm trying to adjust my day or make sure that I'm prioritizing training in that time. It's like you're actually the best or the probably one of the key mental factors. And I think it's the wins along the way as well. So it's like, I know it's like a structural factor, but from the get-go when I wake up and I take my blood pressure and I take my weight and I have my first breakfast and then I tick off my second breakfast and I've had half a litre of water and I'm tracking my things and I'm hitting my meals all the way up to that session, all morning, all day, I'm winning along the board. Like I'm putting ticks in the box to know that like I'm setting that session up for success as best possible. So when I get to the session, all those components have been ticked off. And I know walking into that session, I can come with confidence knowing already that I've done all the things to make sure that that's as successful as possible and I can capitalize on my 2 hours the best possible way.
Yeah, I think a lot of people use like life as an analogy of like a game or a video game where like your objective is to win.
Yeah.
And you play a level in a video game or you play a board game and it's like there's all these little steps that lead to something bigger.
Yeah, 100%. I actually was thinking about this on Saturday because...
After you didn't train for the comp?
Yeah, no, I was thinking in general around comps, and this is a bit of a tangent, so apologies, crew. But I was thinking about events, and I was thinking about like... this was before I did the Lemmy Stone, so obviously I'm pretty dirty about it because I was thinking about this. Because talking about it as a game, right? In my head... I look at the event and I go, at the end of the day, there's tape here, there's tape there, there's 2 big fuck off stones. And if I don't get to the other side of the tape, I lost that game.
Yeah.
If I get halfway, I lost that game. If I get to the other end, I beat that implement.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, when I do those Lemmy Stones again, fuck me, I hope I don't have to. But if I did those Lemmy Stones again, I can tell you, like, I would be working really hard to make sure that I didn't lose that. That event didn't beat me. I beat it next time I do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter how slow, it doesn't matter how whatever it is. But, like, to zero an event or not actually finish or complete an event means that event beat me, which means I'm not strong enough.
Yeah, and it's probably been a while since that's happened for you.
It hurts.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a game. Like, and you know, look at like each event as a game. Like the day is a game. Like, cool, I've just got to tick the boxes that are required.
Yeah.
And hopefully I can win the game today.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a good way to think of it.
Yeah, I think people are so black and white, or most of us that do this are very black and white. Everyone's perfectionist, everyone's OCD. So if it's not perfect, there's no point even having a half-assed attempt.
Yeah.
So if people have a bad day, the whole day just goes bad and they're just like, I'll just write it off.
Okay, so mental strategy if the day doesn't go to plan, if you haven't won the morning before a session.
Win the afternoon.
Yeah.
Win something.
Don't
throw it in the bin.
But I'm sure in like a heavy prep,
yeah,
there's a morning or there's a week that hasn't gone to plan because like no prep is perfect. How do you overcome that when that happens when you're coming into a training session specifically?
I try not to think about it too much and still have a decent crack at the training session. But we've had sessions where it just doesn't work.
We have.
Where you just come in, you lift everything and you're like, it's not today.
And I've done all the right things up to these sessions.
Yeah, sometimes.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
But I get in there and I'm trying.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, I just don't have it today. Like today's just not, my body's just not cooperating.
I think we've done it for long enough now to where you just walk off and go, what am I doing tomorrow? All right, I'll come in and do it then.
It's got to be more profitable then. And this
Whereas
is an experience.
I would have just killed myself for 3 hours
Yeah.
to make sure that I
stubborn as
hit
fuck.
those weights, that I did it, and I'd walk out broken going, I won.
Yeah.
And then
I lost the week instead of
lost
losing the day. Yeah.
Lost the comp.
So that's probably an important one to talk about in terms of, David Goggins. I don't know whether you follow David Goggins.
I don't really watch much of
Yeah,
it.
he talks about the cookie jar thing, right? Like that's one for the cookie jar. Surely you know, like, yeah. So he talks about the cookie jar thing, and I think this is a really important thing. I find that some of those bad days where the mornings are shit, or my week's been shit, or I've been sick, or just like the world's falling apart around me, and I don't feel like training, or I think it's not going to be profitable, but I get into the gym and I start warming up, I've hit PRs. Like I've had some of my best sessions under those circumstances.
Yeah.
I've also had woeful sessions under those circumstances. But in my head, I go, okay, the morning wasn't great, but it's still time to go do my job.
Yep.
Right. It's still time to have a crack at this. And I know that previously I don't write the session off because I know that I've had some very, very good sessions on those. So it's like I've put sessions into the cookie jar where I felt shit and I've succeeded. So now
so you got more confidence.
So I got confidence that I know that it can happen regardless of the morning's outcome. But it is hard to be like, oh, fuck, like this day is just terrible. I feel flat. I'm just not going to train, or it's not worth it. I'm going to pull back. Where it's like, well, see how you feel first. Like get in there, have a crack. It's still time to do your job.
Yeah, I've done that many, like, I guess, sports and, like, not even, like, diet trends and stuff, but, like, I had a run for a couple of, probably, like, 3 weeks where it was intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
But it was basically, like, carb backloading. So once you finish your session later at the day, you basically just eat all the carbs and try to get your calories back up, and through the day is, like, nothing.
Yeah.
And for a couple of weeks I did that where I'd do flooring and I'd work all day. And then I was doing like CrossFit at the time. And then I'd walk in, still hadn't eaten all day.
Yeah.
And had like strength components of the workout where I was like getting PBs and I felt really strong. And I'm like, this is weird. I'm running on nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm running on last night's food.
Yes.
Essentially.
Backloading, yeah.
And then would go eat heaps after that night. And eventually I ran into a wall because I couldn't physically eat what I needed.
Food to hit your requirements.
Yeah. But I was just one of those things where I'm like, I'm just going to try this. Right. There's people that do a lot of fasting at the moment.
Yeah.
And same deal.
Yep.
They still feel strong in the gym. So I think if you've done that
in the
past,
if you miss a few meals in the morning, you're not like,
you're
it's
not
not the
stressed.
end of the world.
Yeah. So if I don't get my perfect lunch before I train, it's not even a thought.
Which just comes down to experience and stuff as well.
Yeah.
Visualization and stuff. Do you think about sessions before you go into them? Do you think about what you're going to hit? Do you visualize any of those lists, or are you just looking ahead at the programming and seeing what you're going to achieve and thinking about that number throughout the day? Like, what does that look like for you?
I don't look past the next session that I have to do.
Yeah.
And if I do, it's not for very long.
Yeah.
I know where I need to get to, but I feel like next week doesn't matter if I don't hit this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if I've got a heavy deadlift or if I've got a heavy yoke, I can't get that out of my head.
I'm obsessed, hey.
Like like I go to bed and I'm just like, oh, I've got either a positive or a negative. Like I'm either excited for it, or I'm just like, oh, I don't want to do it. I just want it to go well.
Yeah. Like nervous about it, right?
Yeah, and
then
I'm
nerves thing. That's a good
generally
thing. That
like
you care, right?
Yeah, and I'm generally quiet all day.
Yeah.
And I come into the gym and say hi, and I don't say that much.
Yeah.
And then once that set's done, or once that heavy component's done, you just see the complete like mood change. It's like my chakra just settles, like something changes in the air, and I'm like,
Who needs a sound healing when you've got it? Like you can get the set done.
Especially like some of the heavy yoke and deadlift ones. If log gets heavy enough, same deal.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, so much can go wrong. I know I've got it.
Yeah.
But still, I'm stressing.
Yeah.
And then once that's done, I'm like, hey, everyone.
Yeah.
I'm back. So that, not intentionally.
Yeah.
But definitely dawns on, like that sits with me a lot.
This is the thing where it's like maybe not intentional, but exactly what I'm talking about, where you're thinking about that number all day.
Yeah.
You're thinking about hitting a triple at this. You're hitting, I've got to hit a double at this to be on track. You're thinking like, this is going to be heavy I'm nervous for it, or I really want it. So it's suddenly, you're talking about training session and capitalizing on training session and like mental strategies. Suddenly, without even knowing, right, we're talking about stuff where we've set up a whole day. We've structured a whole day around that training session. So we're feeling confident going into that session, that you've done all the right things. And like from a physiological standpoint, you've set yourself up the best way possible by fueling yourself as well, right? And then all day and all night beforehand, or all week sometimes, like if I'm heading into like heavy deadlifts, I'm thinking about that number.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that number. I'll watch old videos of me successfully doing numbers the same, or like looking at like my good deadlifts and stuff like that.
Yeah, looking at how they should move.
Yeah, just looking at how they're moving, or seeing me do that number well. So I can see that I can pull it with speed and that it is very achievable, and I've done it before, so I can do it again. Little things that we probably do without even knowing it, right?
Yeah, things that are just automatic from doing it for so long.
Automatic for us.
Yeah.
Right? Things for you guys to think about.
It's all great advice, but like don't get too emotional or obsessed over it.
Yeah.
Find that balance.
If you want to be mediocre. If you want to be good, be a little bit obsessed.
Yeah. It's find that balance, which I don't think any of us have. And we definitely tip either side of that.
But in saying that, periods. I got periods where I don't give a fuck. I got periods where I'm in a van somewhere else in the country, eating vegetarian, being 99 kilos, climbing mountains, and I'm not thinking about strongman at all, and it's glorious.
Yeah. When it gets close, like when it's like a week out from comp, I get a lot worse.
Yeah.
So like the Arnold's was on every year, March, back in the day.
Yes.
Back in the golden era. When expos existed.
Depends who asked the golden era is.
Golden era of Australia. Didn't exist much before that.
I know one particular person who's going to be hurt by that.
He's fine. He's fine. Tree ends don't count. So for that, I'd have to weigh in Friday because I was competing Saturday in the 90s. And the expo was setting up Thursday night.
Yeah.
So like Thursday night, for a couple of years, I'd be like, well, I'm staying near the expo anyway. I've got nothing to do. I'll just wander down there.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can end up going in while they're setting up, depending on who's there. One of the years I spoke to Ange that was setting up, and he was setting up stuff. Yeah. And I was like, could I come in and just have a look around? And he's like, I don't know, maybe. And I had thongs on and you need closed shoes. Yeah. So there was one of the other guys setting up the green tea stand that I knew from Queensland. Yeah. So I stole his shoes, put on high vis, like walked in like I was setting up. Literally just to be like, oh yeah, they're the stones. Yeah. They're the farmer's handles. Looked at where everything was. I'm like, cool, that. Because, like for a comp, even middleweights.
Got your bearings. You got your
for middleweights, it's at the same place. So I can sit there and visualize each event. Yeah. I kind of know where it is, where it's set up, where the toilets are. Yeah. And then I can picture.
Now that you've done it once or twice, it's like home. Yeah. Right? Like you go back there, it's the same feeling.
It's competing in your own gym is very easy compared to competing at a different gym. Yeah. For little factors of like, I don't know where there's shade, water, toilets, food. Sure. Yeah. Like we know that we can duck out and go to a coffee place here. Yeah. It's very chill. Yeah. So yeah, for comps, I get really obsessive with like visualizing things, and I tend to do it before bed, which is terrible because then I don't sleep. Yeah. Because I get so amped. I get so like amped up thinking about how I'm going to get amped up for an event, and then I sit there and I'm like, cool, I'm ready to compete. Yeah. But I need to sleep. Yeah. But I tend to visualize not just everything going well. I tend to do worst case at the as well. I do both. Yeah. I go, all right, I'm going to run with the yoke and it's going to be perfect and this is how it's going to feel and this is how light it's going to feel. Yeah. And then I think, okay, I'm going to visualize myself running with it, and then I drop it and shit the bed. What do I do to try to save that? Sure. Like I go through both. Yeah. Like I try to at least prepare myself for, if this doesn't go well, how can you save this? Yeah. And not just freak out in the middle of a comp.
Shit the bed.
So I feel like I've done both. Yep. I tend to focus more on the positive, but
super interesting.
I try not to ignore something going wrong. Yep. Because I feel like if you go in going, yeah, I've done 5 reps in training, but I'm good for 8. I'm going to get 8. I visualize myself getting 8. And you miss your 3rd rep. Yeah. That's a lot of stress because you're like, that's a long way off 8. Yeah. I have to fix this somehow. I'm not going to get 8.
This is not what I visualized.
Yeah. They said if I visualize it, it will happen.
I'll manifest it. I read The Secret 5 times. This is how it's supposed to go.
So I think, yeah, for me, I picture that. And also points.
Yeah.
I'm like, here's my bad event. If I do
Yeah, I
bad
know
at,
you're big on figuring out the point thing.
if I do bad at my bad event, what do I need to do everywhere else to save that?
Yes.
Because the points thing is the game.
Yeah, it is part of the game.
It's a game. My game is to just get more points than you and everyone else.
Yeah.
I don't care about necessarily winning an event. I care about winning the comp first. And as long as that's done,
of course,
I would love to win events.
Exactly the same. I think about winning each event and then, like, what do I need to do to win each event or do my best possible in each event that's possible for me.
Yeah, and you still did that with middleweights too. You're like, here's some events that, like, I might not win.
Yeah. But I think if I can get to this point, I should be in striking distance of winning that event or very close.
So I think picturing both, because you see people in the middle of comps just freak.
Yeah.
Or like you see people not freak out. Like Macaulay dropped his coffin.
Yeah, cool, calm and collected.
Yeah, and just took his time.
Yeah.
Picked it up, like struggled to pick it up because that thing went face down and they're an absolute bitch to pick up. But didn't freak out, didn't stand there, didn't like
picked it up
stuff
and
it
hustled.
up. Yeah, picked it up and then just ran quick and didn't trip or anything else.
Yeah, composure.
Yeah, whereas a lot of people I've seen the exact same thing happen to.
Yeah.
And I can see like panic. They're sweating through their chalk and they can't pick it up.
Suddenly, everything starts to go downhill.
Yeah.
So that's visualization. That's sort of like getting into like the competition side of stuff then as well. So like moving on from like the training and the competition, like lead up to competition. Obviously, like I made a post about it this week, but like arousal is probably like one of the things, or like peak arousal is one of the things that like I have to manage, and that's a key thing for my mental state at competitions. Not hitting that button too early.
Yeah. So what did you write? That you tried to go out more calm because that's what powerlifters did.
Yeah, once upon a time.
It didn't work.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. What that post was sort of referring to, like, so like there was a lot of like examples being used of like quite like stoic powerlifters, and like it just sort of seemed at the point where like it was glorifying like that temperament over like, you know, like not demonizing, but sort of belittling the scream and yell sort of like mentality that like is the juxtaposition of that, right?
Yep.
And I was on that side, and I was like, "Oh, maybe I should be like these guys."
Yeah,
you know, maybe I should be like stoic and quiet and internalize that rage and go out there and be like a calm front and storm inside. And I was like, Jesus, I'm weak as fuck doing this. Like I was trying to like take slack out of the bar and like be calm and like just like execute. I was just like, it's just not me. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I just like I wasn't fun.
But it's not you in any of life.
No.
And that's the biggest tell of like if that should be for you or not.
It's got to be congruent to your own person. It's got to be authentic.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like
look at what you do in everything in life.
Yeah.
And then come up calm and lift some weights.
It's
like,
just not me. Yeah.
Don't go calm into any aspect of life. If it's
not
business, relationships, anything. Going in screaming and swinging. Getting shit done.
Usually. Yeah, getting shit done.
But not quietly.
No, not quietly. That's very true.
Which explains you competing.
Yeah, very much so.
Getting shit done, but not quietly.
But in terms of struggle, because I know this about myself now at least anyway. Like I know where that is. But I also know that I've got to like, just like leading into the, I can't hit that button all day, right? So like between events, I can't. This is one of those things, like I know like everyone wants to talk to a competitions, it's a big social thing, I haven't seen people for a long time. I've got clients who are competing and stuff with me too, which is really hard because I can't really like socialize on a comp day too much.
Yep.
Like I need to bring arousal down. This is my mental strategy. I know that I need to bring mental arousal down, but I need to stay focused and like on task.
Yep.
Right? As soon as I start talking and like socializing and kind of like chilling out and having a laugh too much, then I just kind of get into like a sitting back. All right, cool. We're going to go out. We're going to lift.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, I like the distraction.
Nah, see, so you're different. You like the distraction in between.
Yep.
No, I need to stay on task. And then when it's time to hit those events, it's like headphones back in, bringing arousal back up. I do some breathing, like nasal breathing and just like quick nasal breathing to like heighten my like arousal a little bit, and then like it's like, okay, I'm back in, I'm warming up, headphones in, not really talking.
Yep.
Going through those motions, going through that preparation stuff, and then it's time to go out there, and then it's salts and fucking yell, and we're like, let's go.
Yep.
Like that's me managing my arousal. And post event,
You get into such a zone that when your client comes up, you tell them to piss off.
I'm so sorry, Shane.
Did it to one guy.
I didn't say piss up. I just said not now.
It's the same. I think it's worse.
It's like stern.
It's
dad.
like a kid.
He
Not
watches
now.
this too. So he'll see this. Like I just felt so bad because
In your defense, he is very chatty.
he's very chatty.
You thought he was coming up
He's
for a
very
chat?
chatty. Mate, that motherfucker, the first time I did Arnold's was in my, I didn't even know the kid. And he was in my ear, like him and, I'm so sorry, New Zealand.
Jason?
Jason
Woods.
Jason Woods, yeah. Between him and Jason, like this Kiwi in one ear and this Irish bloke in this other ear that I just met, and I've just met both of them, and they're asking me 1,000 questions in a minute, like, and I was like trying to be focused, and I was like, my headphones are in.
So, if you know how to throw Tyson off a comp and make him do bad,
it's better. I get angry.
yeah.
And that was fine. Like I just met them, but Shane's one of my clients now, and he just loves to chat. Like he's just very chatty, and he's really good value. But he tried to ask me something when I was getting ready to hit a deadlift, and I was like, and he just failed a deadlift, and I was like, so I assumed he was just. I'm like, yeah, okay, he's done. Like that's
Or he was going to reattempt.
That's not going
the
to come.
same one or whatever.
Well,
it
he was asking whether he was, and he tried to talk to me. And I'm like, not now. And then I realized he was speaking to Alex at the same time, trying to give his attempts. And I was like, oh, sorry, bro, definitely not. Like that was he's done. Like I thought that was a given.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely like headphones in the flow state, don't like to talk. I'm just like music on. And that's the same in the gym too. Like you'll know because we train, like some days we train and we're chatting in between and, you know, walking up or whatever. And then we kind of know some days the headphones stay in, we're just loading plates and we're lifting and we're moving.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a difference.
Yeah. I think understanding that a lot of us in the sport aren't great at social cues and there will be people that will be chatty all the time.
Yeah, of course.
Like that, the first qualifier for that very first Arnold's that only had a 105, you know, the one that was in Into Fitness.
Yeah.
It's the first time I did a comp with like Ran, Carl, a few of those guys.
Yeah.
Carl does not stop talking.
Yeah.
Not only that, if you compete with him,
Yeah.
and because I didn't know him, he's just like, oh, how do you think you go on this event? And I'm like, look, maybe 6 reps on the deads, I'll be stoked with that. And he's like, oh, yeah, you'll do great. Like, I'll be shit.
Yeah.
And I come back and do like 5 or 6, and he's like, yeah, you did great or something. And he'll go out and do 10.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I don't know where that came from. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
he's
where are you from? He's like, England. And I'm like, I see. That's your game. Yeah. He's like, nah, you'll smash me at it. You'll smash me at it.
Yeah.
Comes through.
It's very
rips it.
sly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He's like throwing you off.
So I think, if you need to focus like you do,
Yeah.
bring headphones.
Yeah, I just think it's managing down, like, because there's a lot of downtime in a competition,
Yeah.
especially like full weight class competitions is even harder because there's so much downtime in a comp.
Yeah.
So I think like mental strategy, because you say you like the distraction, you like being distracted and stuff like that in that downtime. Where like
That works. If I tried to stay focused, I would burn out.
I don't
so
necessarily
quick.
need to stay focused, but I just need to stay like on task. And if that means like closing my eyes and having a lie down, if there's going to be a 2-hour wait or hour and a half wait for half an hour,
Yep.
that's okay. But if I get chatting and I get like comfortable, and I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Like we're kind of competing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, because there's comps like that. There's comps where like I go along and like having a chat and it's like, okay, cool, you're up. And I'm like, all right, cool, let's go lift. And like, like give a yell and stuff like that. But it's not the same zone as like competitive.
Yeah, that's how I
Task, you
competed
know.
for years. I was basically talking to the judge that was probably counting me in while I was about to go. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I should do this.
Yeah.
And I pretty much finished every comp and event. And I'm like, I reckon if I just focused a little bit more, I probably could have gone quicker.
Well, and there's a difference. It's a
And
different
then
time.
I had to learn how to actually change that. And for training,
Flick a switch when it's time to flick the switch, right?
it was very hard for me.
Yeah. And so you use visualization a lot before the competition.
Yep.
And then it's kind of like, okay, comp day, warming up and stuff like that. you're kind of taking your focus. I know you put your headphones in and stuff and like find your peak arousal, but in between those times, it's a distraction and stuff.
Yeah. And I'm started, like, I've learnt that deadlifts, I can come in like this.
Oh, understanding different event
Yeah,
arousals,
and
very much so.
If it's overheads.
Yeah.
Like, I had overheads for ASI maybe.
Yeah.
And I was just standing there and you were just like, you ready to go? You ready to do this? And I'm like, just go away.
Yes.
I was like, just leave. He's like, what? I'm like, I don't need like
I don't want
hype right
I
now.
need to be lower here.
I'm like, I've got a barbell, I've got a block staring in the sun. I just need to come out calm and do the job.
Yeah. 100%.
I'm like, everything will go to shit if I come out like too aggressive.
Up. I agree. In terms of like arousal and managing arousal, something interesting that I do that I didn't really think of anything of, but Shane, when he was down here, asked me like what I'm listening to. And he thought this was very interesting. For middleweight series, I listen to the same song or the same album for each event every week.
Yep.
Every week. Same song. So
I've had whole
repeat.
preps.
Yep.
Basically the same intro.
Yep.
Same 20 seconds.
Yep. So like for example, Monster Dumbbell, my arousal needed to be lower.
Yep.
I always played Renegades of Funk, Rage Against the Machine on repeat throughout the whole dumbbell while I was doing dumbbell. Because it was groovy, it's upbeat, it's like pumping along, but it's not like thrash metal, and it kept me like in a like I've got to be engaged, I've got to be like in a good sweet spot, but I've kind of got to like have fun and kind of play with it a bit. But does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it's a sweet spot in the middle there. I listen to that song every week on repeat throughout my whole dumbbell time, and then at the competition day, guess what goes on?
You get superstitious with it, right? Like you put it on once for a session and it goes well.
Yeah.
And you go, all right,
I
this
just
is
kind of
good.
picked it based on like where I needed to be.
Yeah.
So like Viking Press, which is just fucking send Chelsea Smile, Bring Me the Horizon every week, right? Every week on repeat for all my Viking Press.
I've got clients that listen to like Disney
Yep.
and musicals.
Yeah, 100%.
But they are full of energy.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
Meg does it.
Yeah, we
But full of energy.
Yeah.
And that's like
calms them down a little bit and like gets
in a
them
good
sweet
level.
spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
And it just works.
And always event dependent. But for me, I was replicating the same arousal in the gym for those events, and everything had the same feel. So when I'm warming up for the competition events, I would play these songs that I've listened to every single session, every single week on that event at the competition time. And it's like I'm back in that space. I'm back in that like sweet spot. My arousal's good. Go time.
Yeah.
Right? So that was definitely one thing for my competition prep, and something I do. Like I generally just do albums. Like I listen to a certain band or like a certain album for a certain session every week, and kind of play that when it's time to go for those events.
Maybe we need to release like a playlist of comp hits,
Yeah,
comp specific songs from you.
Yeah, like event specific songs.
See, I don't really listen to anything when I train unless it's maybe the last 4 weeks.
I know, yeah.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I do all my sessions and everyone's like, do you not have headphones? Are you a psychopath? And I'm like, I could have the music off. But I kind of like that. I like the challenge of like, if I can still hit moderately hard numbers that I should be able to hit in my sleep while I'm essentially in my sleep, then I'm in a good space. And I know that if I can bring music and bring salt in when needed.
It's going to bring that up.
Yeah.
For me, being in here all day, every day,
Yep.
listening to the same music all day, being at work.
I don't even hear it.
Yeah, I just need my headphones in because I just want to zone out. I just want to like separate work from. It's like a wall between me and work, like a pre-workout. That's a like training strategy, pre-workout for me. If I'm in this office and on the gym floor all day, because I'm here, people probably don't realize, but like I actually work.
Has a real job.
Shane, it's like another one. Comes down and is like, oh man, you're busy. Like you take PTs and like, I'm like, yeah, I'm here like 10 to 12 hours most days.
Yeah.
Like between like coaching, online coaching, programming, sessions, all that sort of stuff. And training, right?
Yeah.
Of course. But like I need a veil between pre-workouts, like stop work, headphones in. It sets the scene for me to be like, this is athlete time.
Yep.
That's work time. And that's like a strategy that I need to put in place, just training in the same thing that's my workplace or open a new gym.
Yep.
down the road.
Go train somewhere else.
Train somewhere else, yeah.
So you can actually drive to the gym for the purpose of
Yeah,
training.
I missed the drive, to be honest.
Yeah.
The drive was a great thing. And if you're driving to the gym, banging tune on, pre-workout down, driving to the gym, fucking like pumping along, that was always my like time in that car, right? Which was like setting myself up.
Yeah, I'd still prefer to do that.
Yeah.
Like normally if we do this and I'd train later.
Yeah, 100%.
I would drive home, basically eat quickly and drive back.
The old Strong Geelong, I used to go for a drive around the block a few times, take my pre-workout, listen to songs, just because it was like a break.
It's a reset.
Yeah, or watch YouTube videos of like, that was good. Like
watch YouTube videos of Grizzly.
100%.
Of Grizzly screaming.
John North. On repeat. Yeah, we actually used to watch John North a lot.
Yeah.
Just for like the vibe before training and stuff.
Yeah.
Pete Rubish deadlifts all the time.
Yeah. Highlight reel.
Yeah, 100% KK. Post-comp mental strategies.
Just keep moving. Honestly, like that's about it. Like we've touched a bit on like post-comp blues and everything like that. And there's a lot of strategies that you can implement, but essentially you just need to go back into the gym, do something, just keep moving, just keep eating fairly regularly. Motivation's going to be about at its lowest ever. I think people stepping away for a week or two and going, nah, I just won't go in. Yeah. Makes it very hard to then
I think a week off's
come
good.
back in.
I think a week off's pretty good, or like a week light, but like I'll take a week off if I need to.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be hard training.
Yeah, just go do something else, or just like not come in. I'm gonna be like not controversial, but like I'm gonna put something forward, and I'll get your opinion on it, and you guys will have an opinion on it. But I actually think post-comp blues is an immature state, and I think that I know elite athletes get it, but I think post-competition blues is a novice intermediate attitude to have to post-comp phases.
Interesting take.
Yeah, I just think that like if you're an elite athlete, there's an expectation that you compete, that there's the high that you win or don't win, whatever it is, that you are satisfied with the result or unsatisfied with the result.
Yep.
But there's a longer goal, there's an overarching goal, and there's a process, and that competition is just part of the process to getting better and the bigger plans. So there's no competition and full stop, and then I've got post-comp blues. There's competition, and then it's only one piece of the puzzle. And if you're looking at the high from a competition or the build up to a competition, and then it stops and you have this post-comp blues situation happen, then I would say that it's an immature response to the stimulus of a competition and what that means in the grand scheme of a journey and a process of actually getting you stronger as a person or as an athlete long term.
I think a lot of it just comes from the fact that it's a big social fun weekend. It's like a holiday.
Yeah.
Like you get to go see all these people, you get to go chat with them. Some people are more social. Obviously, if you're not super social and you're there for a job, then you wouldn't have that as bad. But I know for a lot of people, it's not post-comp.
But why can't you have the social side and the competition side and not be bluesy about it afterwards?
I think they just miss being at the comp on the weekend, miss hanging out with people, and also just not working and like not having that sort of responsibility for 2 days. You can just kind of break away from everything else.
Yeah.
And go, this is cool.
Yeah.
I'm around all the people that I'm not normally around.
Yeah, it's great.
Depends on the size of the comp, though. I think if it's a big comp and it's a big gathering and people come from interstate, and there is a big social aspect to it, like the night before or the night after or everything like that, it's definitely going to happen more often. But it shouldn't happen after every comp.
No, definitely not. I think if you reevaluate or rejuggle the meaning of a competition, I understand there's like a big dopamine hit for competing, for being out there, for a crowd, and there's always, with any high, there's a low that comes afterwards. Yep. But I think that like if you could reevaluate or reprioritize what that means or what the competition means, or the goal long term, like if the goal is like to do the competition or the goal is to be the best athlete or just to push yourself to get better long term, well then it's just a stepping stone and a step or small drop in the ocean of the process to doing that.
Yeah, that's why I always try to have some plan afterwards,
some
whether
plan
it's an
for
off season,
afterwards.
whether it's a comp, something like.
And we've talked about strategies to get over the post-comp blues, but like, can we negate the post-comp blues by taking a different view of the build-up for a competition, the lead up to the competition, and the enormity that we place on that versus I want to get, and this is just like thoughts, but like I'm not looking to be Australia's strongest man under 105.
Yep.
I'm looking to be the strongest person that I can be within the parameters of our sport. Yep. And that doesn't mean world's strongest man. That does like, how far can I push myself potential-wise? I'm testing that at competitions, and I'm testing that against myself, against other people in the sport, and within the parameters of the rules of our sport, so under actual refereed circumstances. But I want to know, how strong can I actually get? How strong can I be? How much potential do I have to be the strongest version of myself within this sport? And then the competition doesn't mean as much.
Yeah, you just go on to the next one.
Because you go on to the next one, or you go back to training because you go, okay, cool, I can see some holes in my game that I've seen under the circumstances that I've placed upon myself in this competition.
Yep.
And against the other people. I can see there's more possibility or more potential for me to be stronger in certain events, because if someone else can, I can too. And that's something that I think about often, is if he can, I should be able to.
I think that a lot before events and before like those heavy training sessions.
Yeah.
Like when I'm walking up to a lift.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
But I'll just think like, if someone else can do
someone
this,
else
I can
go
do this.
I can do it.
Yeah.
Right? 100%. And I think that if you're focused on being the best that you can be in general, then maybe we can circumvent this post-comp blues thing and be able to look at it differently, or competition, or the competition experience differently. Have a great time, enjoy the competition experience, but understand where that relates into the grand scheme of actually getting stronger, or actually being the best version of yourself within the sport.
Yeah, it'll be looking outside of training as well. Like a big part of post-comp blues is while you're prepping for a comp that
Everything
last
else
month.
dropping.
Yeah, maybe you ignore a lot of things in your life, and now that the comp's over, you go, okay, I got to fix all this stuff.
Yeah.
Or I've got to start
real life, that all the stuff that you've put off.
All the other stuff that you've put off has just come back, and you're like,
yeah.
I wish I could just go back to that comp where this didn't exist.
I'd argue that's an immature approach to competing as well.
Probably life. What, competing to like fill the void of doing other things?
Yeah. I just a thought. Like, I understand that people are going to have post-comp blues, and if you are one of those people, it's not saying that like it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I just think that if you take a more mature approach to the competition side of stuff, this is not saying that it's for everybody, but it's more saying like, if you want to be really good,
if you want to last a long time, you want
to last a long time,
yeah,
and you want to be really, really good, and you want to continue to progress, like, you finish a comp and you look at it, you evaluate it, and you move forward, and you take the lessons learned, and you move to the next step.
Yeah, you're not going to last a long time if every comp there's a big dip and a big rise and a big dip.
Strongman Classic was my 50th comp.
Oh, celebrate. Yeah. Pull that in a little thing. And what a 50th comp it was.
Yeah, I really would have liked to have capped that off a bit nicer. Half century.
Yeah.
Hopefully my 100th's a little bit nicer.
I think I'm only at like 35.
It's still a lot. It's still a lot of comps, right?
I had a lot of years where I just didn't. I did one comp or
and
two
I've had
comps.
a lot of like off seasons, like longer off seasons, like 6 to 9 months, but like I also had years where I competed 12 times.
Yeah, I haven't done that.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend. This is a long podcast. Would we like to move to the next one?
Yeah.
We
can.
Yeah, why not? We're going to
Tie it
train
up
afterwards.
Yeah, everyone needs to train.
You want to train?
Yeah. Oh, after this.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
All right, we'll speak. We'll continue. Do you want us to continue? Yes. Okay. A united strongman.
Yeah. Well, I mean...
Do you want to continue in your rant version, or do you want me to go with my positive version?
The rant version will go for an hour.
Yeah.
So
we were just talking about a united strongman, and this is something that we would love to see. It's something that has happened in certain states at certain times, but just something that we want to bring home to everyone who listens. the three of you. Someone made this joke that they're one of the three, and I was like, "There's like fucking 60 of you three now. Like, there's a lot."
Probably not at all at one time.
Yeah.
Three listen to this one. Three listen to that one.
But like a United Strongman, and like what this looks like, and obviously the first thing that came to mind when we were talking about this, and what sort of got this started, is like we see federations talking about like ASA records.
Yep.
And then we're talking about AS records. And then we have Obliterate talking about records and compiling a record list.
Yep.
And then we have a separate objective like board putting together records, which would be the ASR, Australian Strongman Records.
Yeah,
Australian
another
Records
acronym, sure. It's basically the same but slightly different.
I think if everyone got along and united, and AS and ASA and Carl and Camilla got together and went, these are what we think are the records. These are what we consider, these are the things that we've got. We've got evidence. We've got whatever it is from whatever comp, and all submitted it to the one place, the objective place.
Yeah.
And we had an actual records with designated criteria, then fantastic. Then we've got actual records. But like we're talking about records and wanting to collate them, but then we've got people in the sport, whether it's AS or ASA or whether it's Obliterate, negating the current records that people are trying to put together, right? And I ended up ranting. Are you proud of me? I was trying to spin this in like the non-finger pointing. But like if we want this to work in Australia and Strongman, and this goes along a bunch of different categories, it's important to like work together instead of being like, no, we're not recognizing that, or no, we're going to do our ASA records, or we're going to do AS records and blah, blah. It's probably fine to have federation records, I guess. But like realistically, if you want like consistent, good Australian records with consistent, good standards, surely we need to all work together, or promoters and advocates for Strongman and the more experienced people in the sport need to recognize X criteria, X rules, and put them in one place and help each other build the records instead of holding your videos or saying like, no, this is this.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of people just claiming what they deem as this because
it suits their agenda,
suits
maybe.
their criteria.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of work that could be done on it. Otherwise, we just kind of finally give up and just scrap the idea of it.
I'm to that as well.
It's one or the other. Because it's sat in the middle for so long.
Or we just leave records to something like a log press with a standard sizes and a deadlift with standard plates, calibrated plates and a bar, and we fuck off the yoke with 70 drops and farmers with the drops. I don't understand this, but like farmers for 20 meters, farmers for 30 meters, is farmer for 10 meters, is yoke for 10 meters and 20 drops, is yoke for 15 meters, how was it tip to tip? Do you know what I mean? Like we either decide on records and what we're, and like someone put up like a 1.2 stone record, and I think Luke said no, it wasn't to 1.3, but 1.2 is the world standard, right? Like
it's pretty much every division.
Every other division, every heavyweight division, like all the other records, it's a 1.2, right? The world record is a 1.2. Yeah. So 1.2 would count in Australia. Yeah. Right. I believe. So it's like, what other world standards? What are we gauging this of? World's Strongest Man records or other federation records, and put them together like that.
Yeah, and we just have to follow suit with the rest of the world, so it somewhat lines up with the rest of the world. 100%.
Deadlift record, figure 8 straps and a suit, right? Yeah. Just like in the rest of the world. Like a log, 12-inch. Stones, which is stone sizes.
Just has to meet a certain criteria of being big enough.
Just win comps. Win titles.
What I would love to see...
Which so much this record.
What I would love to see, and everyone would get triggered because somehow it would affect somebody personally. So the whole country would get triggered equally, which is fine by me. Yeah. Is to have like the Strongman records, like the independent people where they're like, we're going to compile and we're going to make rules. Yeah. I'd love to see, like, you can't just do a max stone at a comp that doesn't have a max stone. And break a record, like at least make a comp that has a max stone in it. We've got plenty of comps that have max stones in it. Go do that. Yeah. Like I can't turn up to Battle in the Bay, do the comp and go, can I just do a max dumbbell at the end to break a record? Because if I can do that and I'm allowed to do that, like then everyone else should be allowed to do that
Yeah,
as well.
can everyone else jump in?
Yeah, so I think...
Yeah.
But then if we were to say, go in 3 months' time, we're going to hold a max monster dumbbell competition and a max deadlift.
Yeah.
And I come in and have a crack at it then. It's like, well, you can't really cut it out and say, oh, well, you kind of ran that comp for yourself.
Yeah.
It's a proper comp. It's got comp conditions.
Yeah.
It's fair play.
Yeah.
You
Everyone
can't- you
else
can't
can
rule
join
that
in.
out.
You can come down and do it if you
Yeah.
wish to. We've got like separate referees and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We
So
do
I think
weigh-ins.
that's perfectly fair.
Yeah.
But I think tagging,
run the comp.
tagging things onto other comps.
impromptu.
Yeah.
Impromptu, or like, you know, you got other competitors waiting to compete.
Yeah.
This is the one thing that bugs me, and I've
And
done
they
this.
stop a whole
I
competition.
did this at Arnold's because I was young, and like I wouldn't do it now. We've got
Oh, the record at the
Stone.
end of the stones.
Yeah. I wouldn't do that now because I don't think it's like we've got other competitors waiting to compete who have warmed up, and now you're taking up more time, and they thought they were going to go in 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and now they're not.
Yeah.
I think that's inconsiderate as well.
So I think backdating everything and just going, if a record was broken in that scenario, gone.
Not 4 attempts.
No. 4 attempts, gone.
Yeah.
And then, like,
4 attempts, gone.
can we...
Tacked on till the end of a comp, gone.
Yeah.
Like
And then, like, you could make, like...
longer than 60 seconds for the attempt, gone. 7 attempts in a minute, gone.
Yeah. You could make a full, like, Google sheet for feedback
Yeah.
and literally put it on Strongman Australia, send it out to everybody and go, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
What do you think about... And literally just compile everybody's yes or no and get a consensus and go, well, 80% of the country said no to this, so we're going to scrap that. Like, yoke with drops, gone. Farmers with drops, gone. So whoever's got the yoke record at the moment, if they've dropped it once, just go, look, we're going to actually have some legit rules that are good.
Yeah.
Yours does not count anymore.
Yoke, 15 meters without a drop.
Yeah.
Right.
But like I said, everyone would get
Farmers.
offended because so many people's records would get scrapped.
It's like it's not. So you dropped it.
Like you dropped a deadlift.
Dropped it.
You
It's
dropped
not
it like a
squat
deadlift.
shuffle. It's a yoke.
Yeah.
Has to move from point A to point B.
Yeah.
If you drop it, you dropped it.
Yeah.
You didn't successfully get it from. You lost the game.
You lost the
It beat
game.
you.
The yoke beat you.
Farmers, it's a grip event. You dropped it.
Yeah.
Too bad you didn't make it 20 meters.
Yeah.
But, this is me personally, because like obviously everyone's got different ideas, but I just think like it should be in line with relative world standards. I think if I'm wrong and the world standard's different on the yoke, then that's absolutely fine. But
Yep.
like suits and deadlift, and then like allow suits and deadlift in a competition where you have max, because that's the standard. If you want people to break records, break records.
Yeah, I'd like suits and figure eights to like be in and out somewhere in some comps.
It just depends, yeah. 100%.
Rather than it
Each
just-
comp and promoter is like a little bit different, but
Yeah.
like I don't know. I think there should be some relative standards, and like I think that everyone should be working together to create the standard instead of fighting about what the standard is. Decide on something and support. Like I think the independent thing is a great idea if they pull it off and do it well.
Yep.
I'd love to see them send certificates out to people who get records,
Yeah.
apply and beat it. Right?
Yep.
Send a little certificate off. Print it off, send it off. They get an official like record certificate, and they hold that. And then when someone does it, they apply to get that new record and stuff.
Yeah. And then everyone, as a somewhat majority, just has to go, okay, this is it.
Yeah,
And if someone else is like, hey, I just broke this record, everyone's just like, well, no, you didn't.
yeah, yeah.
Because they said
100%.
no.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't give a fuck, I'm claiming it anyway.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, like,
well,
and that's part
no,
of the
we're
United
not.
Strongman. Like, if we have to, like we do with federations, we have to respect those decisions. We have to respect those rules. We have to own the fact that, like, if it's knocked back or whatever it is for whatever reason, okay, well then just do it again and do it better. Do it to the standard.
Yeah,
right?
you wouldn't go in a comp and come second by half a point and feel like you got cheated
Yeah,
a rep and
I
go,
came first.
I'm calling myself the winner.
Yeah,
I'm claiming it. And everyone's like, well, no.
yeah,
Because the comp promoters said no. Within the competition, it was a no.
agreed.
So,
And then like individual promoters and federations, obviously, like
Yep.
when we're talking about United Strongman, seeing like some harmony or some just communication around. And this is really hard because I do agree, like there's too many comps, there's too many individual promoters, and there's too many comps run out of federations that you can't consider everybody.
yeah.
Like you just can't. There's dates that are going to clash. There's all that sort of stuff. But we should be working together in some regard to make sure that like we're still supporting those individual promoters who are running great comps for grassroots, intermediates, or advanced,
Yep.
and also our federations and stuff like that, both ASA and AS, because there's different people who do both. and definitely like can be stepping stones to other competitions or different overseas like possibilities as well. So.
Yeah, there was always a big divide, like way back when I started. Like no two gyms would get along, especially in Queensland.
Yeah.
To collectively run anything good, so they'd all just run their own things.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's bad where someone trains at another gym and they're like, "Oh, you're training at their gym." It's like we all do the same sport.
So
Can
weird.
just
We never had
fucking
that in
get along?
Victoria. That's never been the case here.
Because nothing's near Geelong.
No, I just
It was Geelong and
just
Iron
been in
Rev for
Victoria.
years.
Yeah.
And now there's a few more and stuff,
Yeah.
but it is more chill down here.
Yeah.
And I think New South Wales still copped the same thing at times as well.
Yeah.
But they don't have to get along well, but at least like different promoters and independent people running comps, if they could just be on speaking terms, that would be a nice, mature adult step.
Yeah. Everyone's
to go,
looking
this is what we're doing. And
everyone's
this is
looking to benefit the sport by running competitions and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Everyone's trying to do their thing within the sport. Just like
there's a lot of new people, fresh people getting into the sport going, this is so much fun, that don't understand the amount of crap that will happen at the top end of do this comp, don't do their comp, their comps are shit.
And also, like,
don't do that
federations have to remember, like, and I know that AS and like ASA is slightly different, but like I know AS have brought in their like mates rates, like day pass and stuff like that. For a lot of people don't want to pay federation fees.
Yeah.
And I can understand, like, it's under a federation, blah, blah, blah. But like some people like think that $80 is expensive for a comp if they just want to dip their toes into the water. And like I've had people say, like, I just don't have the money to compete at the moment.
Yeah,
right?
some of the comps are like 120.
Yeah. Right. So like you got to realize independent promoters, $80, there's no commitment. There's no anything else. You can come along. You can have a fun day. You go. That's a great way for people to get into the sport without any signing up, without all the like other things that come with like federation based competitions. Right.
Yeah. But if there's a lot of independent comps that are at a grassroots level, they don't have to jump straight into a bigger, more expensive comp.
No.
Like get them doing more comps.
There
might be like $50 comps or something.
If they're competing in someone else's comp or your comp, it doesn't really matter because eventually, if they progress or if they like the comp that you're doing, they're probably going to jump across. The key is to support and promote the sport and keep them in there and keep them enjoying it, whether that's in ASA, AS, or at any individual comp or gym comp.
Yeah, it's going to benefit everyone.
Yes.
God, even New Zealand cops it.
Yeah.
Because they got two main ones as well. And it's the same thing of like, do this one, do that one. Comps are on the same days. And it's like, you have even less we at least have enough athletes that everyone can survive and thrive.
Yeah.
We have enough that everyone can do smaller ones. Everyone can do top end.
Yeah.
We've got the people.
And everyone's got their niche, and like every competitor's got their niche. Some people just do ASA comps. Some people just do AS comps, you know? So, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But then the last one is athletes, right?
Yeah.
The last thing is like athletes have to support individual promoters, the federations. They have to help out. They have to pay the registration fees, pay the entry fees. But they have to show the fuck up too, because like if you have competitions where like you're throwing a competition on and putting money on the table to be able to run those competitions and dragging gear, like it's not good for anyone. It's not good for the sport. It's not good for you when you pull out, and especially if you want more opportunities. But it's not good for the sport or the promoters when like a show runs and there's no one that turns up, or there's no competition in the weight class. Do you know what I mean? Because you had 10 people in the weight class and 3 are there.
Yeah. It goes both ways. Like there's no comp without athletes, but then there's no comp without promoters running comps.
If there's less athletes, there'll be less comps. If athletes don't show up to shows, those comps will disappear. Middleweight series disappeared.
Yeah.
Because there weren't enough of the other weight classes showing up to every competition to make it valuable or like reasonable enough to be able to keep running those competitions. We run our middleweight series at a huge loss because we get fencing in, we get equipment, like we get everything in, and you've got 18 athletes on the day.
Yep.
Paying
16 105s.
Yeah, seriously, 16 105s. And like
105s are funding this.
Yeah, well, they were.
Funding
100%.
Funding Strongman at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. It's wild. But does that make sense? Like, if you can't run shows if you're going to keep running them at a loss. So guess what? We lose middleweight series. You have no series anymore.
Yeah. I think if there's a lack of communication between both ends, then that's going to happen frequently. Like if a government has a lack of conversation with the community.
Yeah.
essentially it needs to go down that step and have a state representative go, sick, what's the best thing for Victoria?
Yeah.
What comps can we do? What athletes do we have? What do they want? And then at least meet in the middle.
Yes, I agree. But who wants to do that? Who wants to put the time in for free because you're not getting paid? And if you want someone to do a good job, competition fees go up. Do you know what I mean? Like, where does that come from? Where does someone doing those hours, putting in that time, and copying all the athletes shit because we love you, but fuck, like, I'm the same.
Yeah.
He's chicken like, hey bro, are the handles going to be ground down or not? Like, what's the go?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's so much stuff that like these athletes, and it's your job as an athlete also to make sure the promoters are setting up the competition to the best standard so you can compete. Like, you've got to check in with your promoters and know what's going on, because sometimes if you're looking to do something big or great, like I wouldn't go to the competition at middleweight series and be like, oh cool, like what bar are we using? We're using this bar. Okay, well, like I get to the comp and I'm planning on pulling 400 and I know that it's not going to be the bar that I want to pull 400 on because it changes stuff. I know that it's not going to be the same. It's not going to feel the same. So it's your job as an athlete to do that, but then also you have to remember someone's got to put up with the 40 athletes contacting them all the time. Or if they're a Vic State representative, like so many.
Too many.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's got to be a way to streamline it and get something up in like hard writing
I think
to cover the.
I think the state rep is a great idea. It's just
Yeah.
Could be a great job or a very hard job for someone to be taking on in terms of like time wise, communicating with the other gym owners, liaising, making sure everything's running well.
Yeah, I think it's an inevitable step if things are expanding.
If they do expand.
Yeah. If things expand to a point eventually, like a national.
I don't think it'll happen in the next couple of years. I don't think the numbers are there at the moment. If we looked at like numbers previously and it was working fine, and the numbers at the moment in all weight classes, I think in general the weight classes are a bit light on.
Yeah.
I think it's very manageable without.
Yeah.
But it'll grow. It's been bigger before, you know, like 80, especially like 82s, 73s, all that sort of stuff. Like 73 is actually right, but you know, I think some of those weight classes will grow again as things progress again, as there's bigger opportunities and stuff like that, or like better comps, people are sort of seeing it more. But at this point, it will still take a couple of years for people to get strong enough to back into it enough to be competitive and
to need that.
Actually feeling those out. But yeah, just like we want to make mention that there's a lot of things that all athletes can do just to support the competitions and the promoters, and also just getting along would be good as well most of the time.
Would be a great
thing. But like a united strongman, like we're all here just to lift heavy things. We're all here to have fun. We're all here to progress. You know, we're all here to help each other. There's other coaches like promote, like I promote other coaches. Like great coaches are great because they do a great job. You know what I mean? Like there's so many great coaches out there. There's so many great gyms out there. There's so many great athletes out there. There's so many great individual promoters. I think that like we all need to remember that like we're all in it together because we all love doing the same fucking thing.
We're getting to a point where it's at a crossroads where we could turn into powerlifting, and that's not what we want to do.
Or America.
Yeah.
Shit fight, bro.
But even powerlifting, you've got how many different federations where
4
like
federations, and it's
talk to people that do one or the other about records or comps that the other ones do. They don't even know sometimes what the other standards are.
Yeah, and it's
and they're doing the same sport.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, do they have to do this on bench? It's powerlifting. Oh no, but I do this federation. It's like you're still benching.
Yeah.
How do you not know your whole sport or where it came from or anything I feel like we're all kind of together at the moment, but like if everything just splits and everyone goes, fuck it, I'm doing my own thing, then it's all just going to go like powerlifting or America where everything's going to separate. Yeah.
And then athletes don't do the other federation.
Yeah, everybody's hard stuck by certain things and it's just like it doesn't go down a good path.
Nah. Thanks for listening. We hope you got something out of our mental game side of stuff. And we hope you enjoyed our little rant / call to arms to all strong men and women in Australia to unite and make strongman great again.
Yeah, just hug each other.
# Red hat.
Yeah.
Murica.
Signing
over
off.
and out. Signing off. All right, have a great day. We'll see you next fortnight.